Good evening and thank you for joining us on India Business Hour. I'm Parikshit Luthra and here are the headlines we are tracking. The sell-off in Adani stocks resumes after MSCI announces a review of its free float status. The founder of Hindenburg says MSCI statement validates their claims. Another jolt for Adani Group as France's Total puts its proposed $50 billion hydrogen joint venture on hold pending an independent audit. Mutual fund inflows hit a 4-month high in January. Large caps see a 700 crore inflow after 2 straight months of money moving out. The SIP contribution sets yet another record at over 13,800 crore rupees. Meanwhile, Sensex and Nifty end a volatile session on Dalal Street with minor gains. The centre is firm about the market borrowing target of close to 12 lakh crore for the next fiscal. A government official tells CNBC-TV18 that the expanded Senior Citizen Small Savings Scheme will help centre bridge the revenue gap. The government is expecting an additional 75,000 crore mop-up from that scheme alone. The wait for clarity continues for 200 betting and loan apps after they come under government scrutiny. IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav says government is working closely with the RBI on the issue on unregulated entities offering digital credit. Death toll in the aftermath of the Turkey-Syria earthquake crosses 17,000 as rescue operations enter the 4th day. Syrian media reports that close to 3 lakh people have been forced to leave their homes. The first humanitarian convoy reached the rebel stronghold of northwest Syria today. Alphabet shares tumble after its chatbot Bard answers a question wrong at a Google promotional event. $100 billion in market cap gets wiped out as the battle for supremacy in artificial intelligence with Microsoft heats up. After visits to London and Paris, Ukraine's President Zelensky addresses the European Union's Parliament in Brussels. Zelensky has asked for fighter jets to combat Russia, but the West has neither approved nor rejected the request as yet. Now, before we get to the day's big story, we at CNBC-TV18 would like to thank you, our viewers, for your sustained support, trust and loyalty, especially when it comes to the coverage of big events that shape and determine how you handle your personal finances and your businesses. Thanks to your unwavering patronage, CNBC-TV18 has once again crushed competition on Budget Day this year. Your channel has enjoyed a solid 89.9% viewership through the day. That's not all. We have also emerged the leader in the business news segment with 88.2% viewership during Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman's budget speech. Again, this feat would not have been possible without your consistent support, engagement and steadfast trust in us. My team and I thank you all for giving us this opportunity all year, every year. It is truly a huge moment of pride for all of us here at CNBC-TV18. Thank you all for the privilege of letting us deliver the news that matters to you, with the analysis and perspective that makes a difference to your lives. Let's kick things off with the stock market action now. Volatile trading session saw the Dalal Street end with minor gains. Nifty and Sensex ended mildly higher. The IT index led from the front while metal stocks remained a major drag on the Nifty. The broader markets underperformed with the Nifty bank and mid-caps ending the day flat with a slight positive bias. Let's take a look at mutual fund inflows in January. Equity inflows jumped nearly 72% to over 12,000 crore rupees, which is a sharp increase from around 7,200 crore in December. Large caps saw a 700 crore inflow after 2 straight months of outflows. Meanwhile, the SIP category was another strong performer, staying above the 13,000 crore mark. In the commodity market, oil prices struggled to gain traction despite optimism over recovering Chinese demand. This was offset by concerns of weakening activity in the United States after inventories hit their highest in months. Now to the big story this evening. The sell-off in Adani Group stocks resumed today with the 60,000 crore rupee decline in market cap. Since the Hindenburg report was released, Adani Group has lost nearly 10 lakh crore rupees in market cap. Barring Adani Wilmar, all group stocks closed lower, while Adani Total Gas, Adani Green Energy, Adani Transmission, Adani Power and NDTV tested their lower circuits. This after the MSCI triggered a free float review of the Adani Group securities on the index. In a statement, the MSCI said, and I quote, MSCI has determined that the characteristics of certain investors have sufficient uncertainty that they should no longer be designated as free float pursuant to our methodology. Remember, 8 out of the 10 Adani Group stocks are part of the index. Meanwhile, Nathan Anderson, the founder of Hindenburg Research, said that the MSCI statement on Adani investors validated their findings. In another jolt, Total Energies, one of the largest investors in the Adani Group, has put on hold its participation in Adani's $50 billion hydrogen project until the international audit is completed. When asked about the deal, Total Energies chief said, and I quote, "It was announced, nothing was signed, it doesn't exist," end of quote. Let's now go across to Vivek Iyer, who gets us more on the latest developments. Vivek, what do you make of what has happened when it comes to the Adani Group so far in the last few hours?
Well, that's absolutely right. The group continues to remain in focus. So on January 28th, post the fluctuation that was seen as far as the stock price was concerned, and also the various news flows that was coming in, MSCI had invited response as well as feedback from market participants as well as MSCI members as to how exactly they should use or see the weightage as far as Adani Group stocks in the MSCI Global Standard Index was concerned. Today morning, just prior to the expected release of the MSCI Feb Index Review, where they would be announcing the likely inclusions and exclusions, MSCI said that it has received the feedback, and most likely by today, you will see some action being taken by the MSCI in terms of the treatment of Adani Group stocks within the MSCI Global Standard Index. Now, why is this important? Remember, all of the Adani Group stocks, barring Adani Wilmar as well as NDTV, are actually part of the MSCI Global Standard Index, and in fact Adani Total, Adani Enterprises as well as Adani Transmission actually have the highest weightage as far as the MSCI is concerned, and these stocks, if they see a weight reduction, could see some outflow coming in on Feb 28. Now, the other important development that you alluded to is the fact that France company Total Energies post its conference call yesterday after announcing the results actually indicated that they had put on hold the expected $4 billion green hydrogen investment that they were going to put into Adani New Industries Limited. So now they've said that they're awaiting the audit results that the Adani Group has promised, and post which they will reassess whether or not to enter.
All right, thanks Vivek for joining us with that quick update. And staying with news on the Adani Group, the Supreme Court has agreed to hear on Friday 2 PILs seeking a court-monitored probe into the crash in Adani stocks. One PIL seeking the setting up of a special committee to look into the sanctions policy for loans of over 500 crores given to big corporates. The other claims that Hindenburg short-sold Adani stocks, and its report caused an artificial crashing of Adani stocks, leading to colossal losses for investors. State GST officials inspected one of Adani Wilmar's warehouses in Himachal Pradesh. The company says that it was a routine inspection and also claimed not to have any liability under the input tax credit rule. Meanwhile, Norway's $1.3 trillion sovereign wealth fund has said that it has in recent weeks divested virtually all of its remaining shares that it has in Adani Group companies.
In terms of our exposure to Adani-linked companies, I want to start with the 6 companies we've divested from. We obviously have no exposure. The benchmark, the underweight to the benchmark was roughly 5 billion kroner at the end of 2022. We remained invested in 3 Adani-linked companies at that time: Adani Green Energy, Adani Total Gas, and Adani Ports, with a combined exposure of roughly 2 billion kroners. Since year-end, so the 5 weeks since year-end, we have further reduced our exposure in Adani companies significantly. And so today, for all intents and purposes, we have no exposure left in these 9 companies.
And there was constant sloganeering from opposition benches over the Adani Hindenburg issue during Prime Minister Modi's reply to the President's address in the Rajya Sabha. Opposition parties continued their demand of a joint parliamentary committee probe into the allegations. Prime Minister Modi accused the Congress party of spinning conspiracy theories.
जो भी जिसके पास था उसने दिया उछाल। और अच्छा ही है, जितना कीचड़ उछालोगे कमल उतना ही ज्यादा खिलेगा। हमारी सरकार की पहचान जो बनी है वो हमारे पुरुषार्थ के कारण बनी है। एक के बाद उठाए गए कदमों के कारण बनी हुई।
The government told Parliament today that over 2.2 lakh people renounced their Indian citizenship in 2022, the highest since 2011. The government said Indian citizens have acquired citizenship of 135 countries in the last 3 years. Moving on, the centre is confident about its market borrowing aim for FY24, which currently stands at around 12 lakh crore rupees. A government official has told CNBC-TV18 that the expanded senior citizens savings scheme will help the centre bridge the revenue gap. Sapna Das joins us now. Sapna, you've been speaking to your sources in the Finance Ministry. What can we expect now?
Well, the government is very confident about sticking to its net borrowing number of 11.81 lakh crore, the net market borrowing number. And we are given to understand that their sense of comfort also stems from the important changes that they have done in some of the small savings schemes, as well as the launch of a new savings scheme for women. Particularly on the senior citizens front, on the senior citizen deposit scheme, the government is expecting an additional mop-up of around 75,000 crores just by the doubling of the deposit cap from 15 lakh rupees to 30 lakh rupees annually. Now, this translates into almost 0.25% of the GDP on the new revised nominal base for FY24. It's a big number to speak about. Similarly, in terms of doubling the investment or the deposit caps or MIS. So all in all, their sense of comfort comes from a good and a healthy mop-up, which is likely from small savings. Of course, there is a budget target of 4.71 lakh odd crore, but given the way, the expectation on the government side is, there could be a chance of the government actually exceeding that number. Last but not the least, PPF and Sukanya Samriddhi, these were the schemes which are not incentivized in the budget simply because they're already under exempt tax treatment. So any further relief was not possible for those schemes.
A quick look now at the earnings reported today. Zomato has posted revenues of nearly 1,950 crore rupees in the third quarter. Revenues stood at 1,100 crores in the year-ago period. The company's EBITDA loss has also narrowed to 366 crore rupees. However, Zomato has reported a net loss of nearly 350 crore rupees. Strictly speaking, the numbers are not comparable, as this is the first quarter after consolidation of Blinkit. In international earnings, Disney's first quarter numbers for this fiscal largely beat street estimates. Smaller subscriber losses and a beat on the top and bottom line were the key highlights. Disney Plus reported a subscriber loss of over 2 million, courtesy a hike in prices. And speaking of losses, the company has also decided to cut 7,000 jobs as part of its restructuring plan. Snacks and beverage giant PepsiCo's revenues beat estimates in the fourth quarter. The rise in revenues was fueled by higher prices. However, the price hikes hurt demand, and the company saw its volumes drop across its food business. IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav has said that the government is working closely with the RBI on the issue of unregulated entities offering digital credit. This is the first official word from the government on a potential ban on more than 200 loan and betting apps. The minister also said that the government will aim to roll out digital credit by the end of the year.
Speaking of rollout, is it a cause of concern for the government when there are unregulated entities operating in this digital space?
इसीलिए बहुत ही एक सोचे समझे तरीके से, एक व्यवस्थित तरीके से, एक बहुत ही रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया के रेगुलेटेड तरीके से व्यवस्था तैयार कर रहे हैं, जैसे कि डिजिटल क्रेडिट भी उतना ही विश्वसनीय हो, उतना ही रिलायबल हो जितना आज हमारा डिजिटल पेमेंट सिस्टम है.
Vaccine maker Serum Institute's HPV vaccine against cervical cancer, Cervavac, is likely to be available in the private market this month. This will be the first indigenously developed HPV vaccine. According to reports, the vaccine will be priced at 2,000 rupees per vial of 2 doses. The government has introduced the Competition Amendment Bill with changes which could have huge implications for big tech. The biggest amendment proposed is to levy penalty on the global turnover instead of domestic turnover in case of violations. Defending the changes, former CCI chairman Dharendra Kumar said it is relevant to look at the global turnover when the entire digital economy is interconnected globally.
this would definitely have a lot of implications for digital enterprises, particularly the so-called big tech, when their entire turnover is being considered. And also the fact that it would also include maybe the exports. But the fact remains that in a digital economy, when the entire economy is interconnected globally on the digital platform, and sometimes the transactions and their economic import is beyond the frontiers of the country, it is probably relevant to look at the global turnover.
And getting you a news break right now, promoters of SREI Group have submitted a proposal to withdraw the group companies from insolvency. Sources say that promoters have submitted a plan to the lenders, claiming that the current plans do not offer fair consideration to the group's creditors and stakeholders. Ritu Singh joins us now with more details. Ritu, what will happen to the SREI resolution plan now?
Well, really, this is a very last-minute twist because we understand that the promoters of Shrey Group, that is the Kanoria family, have now submitted a proposal to withdraw the company from insolvency under Section 12A of the IBC to the administrator of these companies. Now, this settlement proposal comes from the Shrey promoter firm Adistri Commercial just days ahead of the voting decision on the 3 resolution plans which have been submitted for the company from NARCL, Autumn and a consortium of Valde and Arena, as we've been reporting. Now, as part of the proposal, the promoters have offered to fully repay the secured and unsecured lenders their dues in the form of various debt instruments, which will include your NCDs, OCDs, etc., over a period of time. This, they propose to do so by monetizing some assets, using some of the cash that is already on the books of the company, and also infusing money through an identified investor, which they haven't named, and so on. Now, lenders, however, we understand, are unlikely to consider this last-minute proposal from the Kanoria family, given that the company was brought under IBC by the RBI for governance-related concerns, among other reasons, in the first place. Now, meanwhile, the voting decision, we understand, on the resolution plans has been extended. The decision is likely by the 14th of Feb. And as we've been reporting earlier, in NPV terms, the National Asset Reconstruction Company, that has made the highest offer of 5,555 crores against the total admitted claims of about 32,700 crores from various creditors.
Right. Thank you very much, Ritu, for joining us with that big exclusive right now. We're going to take a short break right now, but on the other side, death toll in the aftermath of the Turkey-Syria earthquake crosses 17,000 as rescue operations enter the 4th day. Details when we are back.